Welcome to Black Man Lab. We are live. So glad to have you all here with us this evening. Tonight we have a great panel on a great topic. We're going to be talking about um, getting your business going and selling your business in terms of promoting your business. What do you do to get your business up and running and being very healthy? Tonight I have joining me my brother Fred Parham, who will be
Yeah,
co-hosting with me tonight. Brother Fred, welcome.
bro, I'm back, man. It's great to be back on the lab tonight, especially as a co-host. I'm looking around. I don't see Mowley, and so that means I get to shine a little bit. Greetings to the listeners. Happy holidays. Happy holidays to the families far and wide, close and near. And man, I'm excited about the show, Marty. I think
Man, I'm
these
glad to
brothers
have
are.
you. Glad to
Yeah.
have you in shotgun again, brother. It's
Oh
always
yeah,
fun
baby.
when
I'm
I have you.
glad to be back.
Yes, sir. So before we get started, a couple of things. Every week, what we want to make sure that we do is we connect our audience to what we are as Black Man Lab. Black Man Lab started about a little over 4 years ago, with just some brothers from organization that Fred's part of called Let Us Make Man, that came together basically to get their sons together and have a different voice for them versus sometimes we know us as fathers with our sons just don't want to, they just tune us out. They don't listen to us. So we bring in an uncle, we bring in a godfather, a close friend, somebody that can talk to them and as the old folks say, put a little fat on their head. So that started with just four brothers. And then that grew to when we were together, getting together in person. We'd have over 250 Black men in the same space sharing information. And the idea behind it is a lot of times in our communities, we don't have um, the hand down of information. And when I say information, I'm talking about whether that's professional development or whether that's self development. A lot of times we don't have that like they do in other communities for various reasons. We ain't gonna get into all those right now, but you all know that. So what Black Man Lab is designed to do is to be a safe and sacred place where we are able to have that information downloaded to our young brothers so that they can move on and matriculate through life and do the same for those that come behind them so that our communities that much better. So that's the history of Black Man Lab. What we do every week also prior to getting into our conversation is talk about things that ground us. So we look at um, what's going to ground us and keep us be in a space to take this information in and really absorb it. So one of the first things that we do is we bring my brother Fred in to get us into the right mental phase. So Fred, if you could.
Absolutely, Marty. So, as Marty said, man, the ritual of connection between brothers is first achieved by being present in that moment, in the room where Black Men Lab used to meet. So, brothers coming from their daily life and along their walk, some from school, some from work, some from the block. And how we do that is we just kind of get in a position that's comfortable, and we're going to invite all of the listeners and viewers to join in and just take a deep breath, man, on three, two, one. Let your shoulders fall, and just kind of be in a space where you're ready to really tune in and get something out of how we spend the moment. I know the information will be right, the spirit is right, and so the mental is right. Back to you, Marty.
Absolutely appreciate that, brother Fred. The other thing that we always do is make sure that we acknowledge those that came before us, our ancestors whose shoulders we stand on, because we know that without them, especially us as Black men, we know that without them we would not be here and be in a position to continue the tradition of community and continue the tradition of pulling our folks along. So with that, what we will do is do a libation, which is reach back and pull our ancestors into this space so that their spirit surrounds us and keeps us grounded and moving forward. So what I want everybody to do that's listening as well as our panel, think about our ancestors in history that come from faraway lands, those folks that are world renowned in our history that has meaning to you, And you know that without them, where we are would not be the same. So people like Haile Selassie, people that you can think of along those lines, Nelson Mandela, around the world. Think about them. I ask you to hold your right fist up in the air and say Ashe.
Ashe.
Secondly, I want you to think about folks that are here that are part of our history in America, a place that is supposed to be home of the free, land of the brave. What I want you to do is think about those folks that really, truly are that. People like Harriet Tubman, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Edgar Evans, people from that were here, and we stand on their shoulders. You can raise your hand up again in the air and give to Ashe. Ashe, Ashe. And lastly, I want you to think about those that are in your family history, those ancestors that you truly stand on their shoulders, whether it's a big mama, a papa, your father, your mother, anybody in your family lineage that you can think of, close to your family that has really mattered to you and you know has made you the person. Raise your fist up in the air. And lastly, say, Ashe, Ashe,
Hey.
Asheo.
Asheo.
All right. Thank you so much, you guys. Now that we've gotten all of our spiritual work in place, we've got ourselves centered, let's get into the conversation and talk about that we have in front of us. So first up, what I would like each of you guys to do, give a quick introduction of yourself, talk about your business, what got you into your business, and then we'll go deeper from there. So first up, I'm going to start with my brother Marsette. Marsette, if you give a quick introduction of yourself, you kind of a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are today, and then we'll move it around from there.
Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Hear you fine.
Okay, cool. Hey, good afternoon, brothers. As Marty introduced, my name is Marsette Mangum. I know Marty and Mally. We go way back, actually, from the city of Chicago. And I appreciate being invited to come into this space today. I've known a little bit about the Black Man Lab and the work that you guys do, and I've been impressed by that. I've been working in this field a little bit myself, but what I do, I own a company, my wife and I, called Michael Madison Design, where we do a lot of promotional items. We do T-shirts, we do embroidery. We work with a lot of small businesses. We counsel them in terms of getting their marketing together. If they have a logo, just using the experience that we have in terms of what logos pop and will work for what you're trying to do. We kind of, give some counseling in that area. And we bring your vision to life. We try to make sure that what you have in your mind in terms of whether it be products or materials that you use to self-promote in terms of shirts and that kind of thing, we can bring it to life. We also do novelty shirts. We're licensed for a few HBCUs and some other Divine Nine organizations. And it's been a good road for me, just kind of doing what we love and doing work in the community. We give back to a variety of the schools and causes that we serve and churches and that kind of thing. So I'm going to give that brief introduction. As this conversation goes on, hopefully we'll have some more information to share as well. So thank you guys again for having me.
Man,
thank you, brother Marsette. Appreciate it. Brother Travis, quick intro if you could. Freeze up. I think brother Travis.
You're still on mute, brother Travis.
I think he's frozen there.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
He is.
How about brother Muhammad? Are you there? You're on mute if you're there, brother.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yes, we
got
can.
You, bro.
We got
you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My name is Mandene Muhammad. I owner of a legacy men's resale boutique. Do a combination of gently used and new men's clothes and accessories here in Bronzeville in the city of Chicago. I didn't quite get to form. I'm honored to be included in this the circle of brotherhood this evening. I just have a small business here, and I've been in operation for a couple of years now. And I just started off as kind of selfish. I shouldn't say selfish, but I was collecting things, just wanted to make sure I have something for young men in grade school and high school level. And a friend of mine just told me I should probably think about opening up a men's resale boutique. I say the selfish part because a lot of ladies will say you don't have anything for men, for women, and I tell them you got enough stores. This is personal. This is something that I want to have for men on the south side of Chicago. So I didn't know how much time I have for an introduction. I just wanted to get that out. But again, I'm honored to be a part of the conversation tonight.
Well, by all means, brother, our goal is to get to know you. So, we'll spend the hour doing that.
Okay.
So, yeah, thank you so much.
We are honored to have you, brother. Thank you. As well as being another Chicago person, just like myself and Marcette. So this
yes, sir.
Man, we Chicago. We got an overdose on Chicago tonight,
It's not often. It's not often. I appreciate it. Brother Travis.
Yes, sir. First, I'd like to thank you guys for having me. If you're a black man and you get invited to the Black Man Lab, where brothers are inviting you to a healthy space, a positive space that's going to uplift the community, man, you got to jump and you got to be thankful and appreciate your.
He froze up there.
Man, that brother got to come back, man.
I'm originally from Michigan, so I'm Midwestern, but not quite Chicago. But I'm not too far around the lake from you guys. And I've been practicing, mostly my practice focused on business and business transactions, so purchases and sales of business.
Breaking up there. We lost him again. All right, we'll come back to Travis. Hopefully his reception will get better there. So we got a good general overview of where folks are at. Hey Travis, we'll come back to you, brother, because you were breaking up there, but we'll come back to you. So we got an overview of what you guys are currently doing. But what I want to start with is talk about that process, and Brother Mandene, you touched on it a little bit in terms of what got you there, but talk about the process, because this is what's important for us as we relate to young folks out there, of going from, whether you were working in corporate America, whether you were, doing something different, and you pivoted and said, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have my own business and move in this direction. Talk about that process of how you got that started. So, Brother Mandene, I'll start with you. You would touch on a little bit, so if you could expand on that.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm a member of CROW. It's the Archives for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It's a not-for-profit operation. We have the most extensive collection of audio and video in the history of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so that giving back and doing for my people anyway is just embedded into me. And but as far as I've always been in the background in my operation, the organization I'm a part of, and so being pivoting, as you said, and going into business on my own, I realized that I had to be the front person for that. I had to, to be the lead dog, and as we always know, the lead dog has always had bite marks in his backside. So, but the idea of this men's boutique is, my aunt. 40 years last week marked 40 years of the death of my mother. And my aunt, bless her heart, she's 85. She didn't hesitate of getting me and my brother. And so she was pretty much a single mom, not only having us, but also, other cousins as well. And so she would always have to go to, rummage sales, as they would call them back in the days, to thrift stores and things of that sort. And so it wasn't until I became older I realized the value of some of these places, because you could actually find some great things in there. And so, as I alluded to earlier, I had started collecting. As I got older, the sense of giving back just became stronger and stronger in me. And so I started collecting suits and shirts and shoes for young men, in particular in the in the grade school, going into the 8th grade luncheon, in high school for the graduation and things of that sort. but I never gave out anything. So I was becoming a collector. And so it was a friend of mine who had suggested that I open up a men's resale boutique on the south side of Chicago, because at the time there wasn't any at all. And so again, being someone that was used to being in the background and not having to be out front like that, I kind of drug my feet on it. And so, but I saw a space that was available one day, and I just kind of I went for it, and my application was accepted, and just kind of went from there. So it's been an interesting ride thus far, but using my connections and the people that I've encountered being a member of Crow, a lot of people just kind of, it was kind of natural for them just to help me out and donate things and tell people about what I was doing. And so it just kind of went from there. So it's really just ballooned to the point where I'm at a new location now, because the old location was too small. It became too small because I was receiving so many donations of people donating clothes and things of that sort that I literally ran out of room. So I had to, get a new location. And so, double that with, the COVID and what's going on now is kind of like the gift and the curse, seeing that you brothers are from Chicago. Of course, you remember spring break, you had to clean up. And so people with a lot of extra time on their hand have been cleaning out their closets, and, and that's been bittersweet also, because there's been some people making their transition. And so, I've received those items as well. So, but I've been able to help out, people. A lot of men that come in my store, they're able to afford whatever they want. But I have a lot of men that come in and they're not able, they're less fortunate, and those are the ones I tend to cater to the most. And so, those donations help me to be able to have the prices at a point where they could really just, come in and just ball out on a budget.
I like that, being able to ball out on a budget. But when I come home, I'm going to check that out, because that's me every day, balling out on a budget.
Hey, you come in and get what you want and still have some money left over in your pocket.
There you go. But I appreciate that, man. Definitely appreciate that. Appreciate the work that you're doing out there, because it's so important, man, and we got to support each other. And that's what Black Man Lab's all about, and that's what all of our Black organizations should be about. So thank you for that. I appreciate that, man.
Yes, sir.
So, Brother Travis, how about yourself? How did you get started? And tell us about that.
Yeah, so I was trying to go through. I'm a business lawyer, and so I can kind of speak to this subject from two perspectives, in that I run my own law firm. I've been running it for 11 years. I co-founded it with a partner, and we grew from 2 attorneys to now 9. And it's interesting, one of the things that we do is we focus on businesses and business services. Most times people think about the law, they think about civil rights attorneys or employment discrimination fighters when they think about sort of empowering the community. And I was no different. I always wanted to go to law school. When I was in 8th grade, I decided I wanted to go to law school, because I was told I had the gift of gab and could string together an argument and straighten people out. And so I figured I'd go fight for the little guy, go to college and go to law school, and made my way through college, through high school and college. And I was fortunate enough to have people pour into me with organizations like the Urban League. They had youth programs that kind of helped me, because I was in a neighborhood, in an area where most folks didn't see college as an opportunity, and there was high literacy and dropout rates. So those type of youth programs helped me. And I made my way through, and I just kind of stayed with volunteer programs, from Pledge in my fraternity and Black Volunteer Network, and then in law school, Black law students. And I learned, there that there was a lot of folks that were going to go get their law degree, and they were going to teach the man how to treat African American community, Black community better. And we got together and we were talking about all the things we were going to do, and it was just great. But then I had a weird experience where one of my individual who was a year ahead of me, she had gone and spent the summer at a law firm, and she was working in a space called mergers and acquisitions and business transactions. And she had also been the person who helped me kind of apply to law school and figure that out, because I'm a first generation attorney. And so I looked up to her, and she got my ear and told me about this practice area that I had never heard of, and many folks in our community had not. You know, we thought of one thing: you're going to get in the courtroom, and that's what it is. And we have a lot of heroes. Our heroes, that's who they are. But after hearing sort of the focus and why, because this person was also committed to the community, she explained to me, you know, look, one of the best ways to overcome the deficits and the problems that we have that plague our community is for us to move money better, for us to do better business. And we need representation that looks like us, that understands us, our language, our obstacles, our specific needs, who can help navigate biases from other third parties that we need to do business with, banks, CPAs, other businesses who will give us contracts, government entities. And it occurred to me that, you know what, there was a lot of people fighting the fight in the courtroom. But I looked around and there were very few folks saying, hey, man, you know what, I'm going to be a warrior for our community through business law. You don't even think about it. Right now, you guys are probably like, it's when people hear it, they're like, yeah, whatever, man, you know, but it is important. I've been able, and so I went to big law to kind of cut my teeth and learn, because I wanted to be able to practice at a very high level and provide the most sophisticated training and skill set to my people so that I can wield that and help them wield that to their benefit. You know, learn all the tricks of the trade, how to be sophisticated, think about growing businesses organically instead of just saying, I'm gonna add 1 or 2 more people. Maybe you add 20 people by buying another shop that's near yours or in a market that you want to get into. And so I decided to go into transactional practice. And after doing 7 years in big law and feeling like I kind of learned enough, I set out on my own, because I also knew that if I started my own practice, I could create a place where others could practice sophisticated law and be themselves and be authentic to their culture, wear their hair how they want, listen to whatever music, and not be judged as lesser or incapable because of something that's cultural, and to create an environment where you could just be you and still do work for the Coca-Cola company or AT&T or whoever else, and then still do work for mom and pop shops and family businesses and middle market companies. And so I've been doing that, and I work with a lot of smaller businesses in our community, and I try to bring to them the things that larger companies take advantage of, the skills, the opportunity to get money and capital to help grow, and to make sure that their compliance is first rate, so that they have opportunity to check the box in really large contracts and deals. And so I kind of fight in a way and in a space for the community that a lot of people rarely consider. But I've been very happy about putting people in business, helping people grow their business and sell their businesses, retire, hire other people of color, elevate other people of color in the positions of power and leadership and management. And so that's kind of who I am. That's one of the things that I do. I do that from a business consultant standpoint as well. And just kind of looking forward to learning more about you guys and figuring out how I can extend this conversation to a way to network and do what I do with you guys and work together with you.
Absolutely. And that, you know, you touched on some things there, Brother Travis, that are really interesting. You know, so often we, especially as Black men, we wind up getting into these different corporate America spaces, right? Where we might move to mid to upper level management, and we're making a decent buck. And we get fairly comfortable with that, versus us taking that intellectual property that we learn from those different organizations that we're working for as our own, and going off and doing what you did, and, you know, starting your own thing. You worked for a big law firm for a period of time, but then you learned a bunch of stuff and you took that back to your community. And I think that's one of the things that we have to get a little bit more comfortable with, and why we're having this conversation. Because I want our young folks to know out there that it's okay if you go work for somebody else, but take all the information that you possibly can, number one, so if you want to be promoted there, of course. Secondly, you know, at some point, what we have to do is really reinvest in our communities through our work. And I think that, you know, what you're saying there is exactly what you're doing. And I'll speak for myself. It's the same thing I'm doing right now. I'm doing business consulting, because I've learned so much over the years. And now I can go to small companies and for way less money than what they would pay a big time consulting firm, they can get information they would never see, before. So that's what we got to do, is to empower ourselves, as well as at the end of the day, you yourself make some nice money off of what you're doing and enjoy it. So great stuff. Brother Marsette, my man, give us some of your business.
Yes, man, it's been interesting listening to everybody. And I think one of the common threads is that we kind of all went into a field, then kind of had an aha moment and decided to pivot a little bit and kind of specialize, and then use that and those tools to come back home, so to speak, come back to the community. I think that's one of the things I touched on as well. When I first, Marty knows, and a few other people know, I've kind of had my hands in a couple of different pots. Did some restaurateurship, entrepreneurship in Chicago and a few other places. I dabbled when I first started working for myself. I sold shoes. I started with men's shoes back in the late 90s, and then I pivoted to women's shoes. I had a couple of shops, and like everything, you have a nice moment, then it slows down, and you either kind of move to something else. So with the shirt piece, like many things, it kind of happened almost by accident. I was also a member of a Greek letter organization. And as you know, once you're in an organization, you kind of see the same shirts after a while. You see the same things. Okay, yeah, I saw that this place and this place. So yeah, I remember this when this came out. And some of us, you want to set yourself apart and not be like everyone else. So I started designing my own things, and it kind of gravitated to some of the guys. And like, man, where'd you get that? I hadn't seen it, So I was like, oh well, we did it myself, my wife and I. So we were both very creative, and we started doing things for our organizations, and it just took off from there. And then I think for me, just kind of, it was, doing all right. So what we happened to end up doing, we both went to FAMU, so we're both proud HBCU graduates. And we ended up getting licensed for FAM, because now, as what we're seeing at this stage in the game, like in your late 40s, early 50s, a lot of the people that we all went to school with or in our age group are coming into their own. They're either the person in certain situations, like, people that we know back in Chicago, we grew up with, are, assistant police chief or lieutenant of this or this, that, and the other. So that the same thing goes with the schools. So a lot of the people I was actually in school with that stayed or working with the school are in positions to make decisions. So we ended up getting licensed for FAMU, and it really took off from there. And then being back in the South, you really see how, a lot of us have moved to that situation where we have love for our schools, and especially now with the political climate being what it is, so a lot of people are looking back at HBCUs and that embracing them again, because they have become, once again, a safe space or a safe haven for our children. And you're seeing a lot of people who are decommitting to a lot of the PWIs in terms of athletics and athletic scholarships, and coming back to different schools, which was capped off recently with, the signing of Deion Sanders at coaching at Jackson State. So there's a lot of pride, and we were kind of wondering how it was going to be in terms of year round. And I can speak for our situation. FAMU has really, really, embraced us, and we've been able to make moves in a lot of areas in terms of doing specialty things for different divisions at the school. And that has helped year round, where we were kind of fearful, like, man, how's this gonna, after football season, it kind of flattens out. And which to a greater extent it did, but we were able to pick up different contracts doing some other things, and just kind of getting ingrained with the community as an adult, as opposed to when I was a student, and seeing the need. So we're very active. We give back to the school. We try to talk to kids in terms of going to school and what things you need to look for, whether it be FAM or whether it be another HBCU, primarily, if that's your thing. And then everyone can't go, and that's not a knock on any other schools, but just trying to mentor other kids who are walking into what we're walked into some years ago in terms of the choices that they're making. And because it's a very critical choice in your life when you get to the point like, well, what school do I further my education at, and what opportunities will avail themselves to me? So helping students with that, and just going from there and getting ingrained with it. And like I said, it has opened up a lot of other doors where we were kind of like, well, how's this thing going to go? We don't want to pigeonhole ourselves. So then we start getting approached by community groups and churches and daycare centers and other smaller mom and pop groups. Like I said, we've been able to mentor and to help in terms of their marketing. And, you know, people come to me, well, they told me I needed 400 shirts and this, that, and the other. You know, people were about to get really hit over the head or robbed. You know, as most of us know, starting a business isn't cheap. And a lot of us don't have a lot of resources to deal with. So if there's some way we've been able to save people a couple of dollars here and there, or say, hey, you really don't need this much, you need this much, or I would invest my money doing this. And that's kind of one of the ways, just loving the community, we've been able to give back and help people not make some costly mistakes in terms of their startup. So that's been a wonderful thing for me.
That's awesome, brother. That's awesome stuff. And you know, again, the common thread between all of you guys is that pivot piece, you know, and then realizing purpose within the pivot.
Right.
I want to make sure that our young folk out there hear that and they understand that it's not always clear at day one. You know, it's not always clear from the second that you start your work career of what you meant to do, but you see it following. You know, and that's the challenge that we have. I think is that our young folks, our young brothers especially, have so much talent, so much ability because of the nature of our evolution, if you will, that we've had to adapt. You know, Brother Travis, you talked about, you know, you grew up, and the same way Molly and myself, you know, we grew up in the same neighborhood, or south side of Chicago, that a whole bunch of people coming out of that neighborhood. The way, you know, having the realization that there are people out there like ourselves, young folk, and being able to reach back and help pull them through is essential, and have them realize what they're capable of is awesome. Thank you for that, brothers. Brother Fred, I'm talking too much, man, because I love this kind of topic, and I you know, we get out the way.
No,
You go ahead, man.
man, not at all, bro. I am really interested, as Brother Marsette said. It's just I think a provocative panel. The conversation has just sparked my thoughts, man. I'm just going around the wheel. So I pulled it together because, as you alluded to, Marty, you know, the intended points here are for the young listeners out here. And so we've heard, you know, where you brothers are. And so now I just kind of want to step back into how you got here. And then, you know, my line of questioning will take us in, like, what you kind of see the future for yourselves, and you know, some tips you might be able to give young guys of some emerging things in your particular market. So I'll just start by asking brothers, just for the benefit of the youth who are listening, how did you integrate, you know, your education, you know, and I'm talking high school where you came with the vision. I think Bruh said he knew he wanted to be a lawyer in the 8th grade. So I want to know, like, who were your influencers, and, you know, who were your models to even give you the gumption, as my grandma would say, to try to start a business? And we can start with either one of you brothers. Who were your influencers during your teenage years, you know, that you saw, that inspired you, that, you know, maybe even lent some capital to you to get started? Who were those guys? And anybody could start, or women. Everybody's on mute.
Yeah.
First one to unmute. All right, thanks, Brother Marsette.
Yeah. Well, I you know, like we've been leading up to, I also grew up on the south side of Chicago. And it's one of those things, man, you know, Chicago, as Detroit or a lot of other places, are very rich in our history and culture. You know, we came up from the Great Migration. A lot of our ancestors settled in these areas and then started to make a lot of strides. So when you drive down certain streets in Chicago, you can, oh, well, that's so-and-so's house, or that's Curtis Mayfield's first house, or that's, you know, and it's kind of funny because my wife always makes fun of me. She's like, man, every time we come up here, we run into somebody that you know, that, you know, I can only read about the history books, and just really absorbing that. It's like, wow, that is, you know, that's a, I just remember coming up and you would see certain families, or that's family hit on a home, or that they've owned this restaurant. It's been in the family for X amount of years or generations. It's third generation, so and so who owns it. And now, like I was saying earlier, they're just like control of those businesses now. And I said, man, I want to have a legacy. I want to leave something where, you know, people be driving, oh, that's Marsette's first, blah, blah, blah. Or he started his business here. So that was for me one of the main drive forces. And I wanted it to be in the Black community. And I wanted it to be something that other kids, you know, boys and girls could point at, especially young men, not less people sometimes will invest in us other than these brothers like yourselves. So I wanted to have something built, a legacy, and that was one of the driving forces for me. You know, my parents did well, and they left things for us, but it wasn't like on a huge scale. But to be able to do the same thing, so when someone thinks about me, oh, well, he did this, and he left something that we can. That was one of my main driving forces.
Yeah, I love that, Brother Marsette. And I hope that the listeners could hear you clearly. I don't know if it was on my end only, but I think we got the message of your comment, but I hope that, you know, my earbuds were a little bit kind of choppy. But I wanted to move on and ask Brother Travis and Mandene, you know, who were your influences, bro? I know, Brother Travis, you mentioned 8th grade. Who was that, and in what way?
So I knew I wanted to be a lawyer, and that's
Right.
sort of my trade. You know, you talk about who I wanted to be. My father originally kind of had interest in practicing law, but life happens, and it just didn't kind of break his way. But I was introduced, and kind of, you know, I love my dad. He's my hero, and I think part of that, my natural desire to fight for what's right, and stand up for people, just kind of put me in a position and on that path. But then with respect to being a business owner, an entrepreneur, it really was, you know, wanting to practice my craft, business law, in a way that could help my community. And then the barriers to being able to do that in larger law firms in the way that I wanted to do it was kind of what finalized, hey man, you're gonna have to start your own business. Now I also had an interest in starting my own business just because personally I like to control my fate. I have this thing where I think, look, I could probably do it better than most if I'm left to my own devices. You know, I think most entrepreneurs kind of feel that way. So I say it with a little bit of humility and a little bit of what they say confidence versus arrogance. And it's I kind of been that way my whole life. I struggle doing things in less than stellar form or efficiency or effectiveness. And just looking around, I don't care what institution it is, even the best of the best, or the things that we hold on a pedestal. The most people are average because it's average. And I struggle with that. And I've always figured, you know, I'd like to cut my own path, trying to tread my own ground. And then I knew I would have the flexibility of picking and choosing who to give breaks to, taking my time, who I should take my time with, who I should spend my time and energy and my resources really going the extra mile for, and just kind of, you know, figuring things out. And so I always knew I probably had to have my own institution to do that. And now I was fortunate. I didn't have a whole lot. I'm a first generation lawyer and a first generation sort of established business owner. I have a few folks in my family that have opened businesses, more traditional businesses, but the first professional business owner in my family. And I had to go out and find mentors. And one of my key mentors was an individual who I worked with at my law firm. He was a senior attorney, a partner, who was a rainmaker, and just so happened took a lot of interest in me and kind of showed me how to do business as a lawyer in this space in ways that I had no clue and would never have learned. And then when I was deciding to transition on, an alumni at my law school at the University of Michigan, Curtis Mack, this is my guy. He just kind of took me under his wing and said, look, you know, I'll let you know what you need to know if you ask. I'll help you get your business off the ground and he was also a lawyer and a partner and a rainmaker. And so he really, you know, kind of showed me the ropes and the tricks to the trade, and that amazing things could be done if I committed my mind and my creativity to it and committed to giving back. So it's funny. His whole thing was, I'm gonna pour into you, and that's part of the thing you need to know. That's gonna build your business. And I mean, anything I ask him, he tells me, he helps me, and I try to be that way for other people, and definitely other young attorneys who are younger or in the position that I was when I first met him. And it's paid off wonderfully. You know, you get by giving, people get to know you, they get to know what you're capable of, they know your heart, they know your commitment, and then they know your excellence. And so, you know, he is really the person that made it where me and my family could transition to the next phase, I think, of generations transferring wealth and sort of status and power into a space where we have an institution with our name on it, where we can bring others into it and maybe make it available to our children, my children, and their cousins, and laterally and horizontally. And so I am forever grateful because somebody had to kind of give that blueprint in my family, is the way I kind of see it. And so he did that. He kind of inserted himself into the chain of my family's history and trajectory and gave us skills through me and tools that are going to be passed down across generations. And I believe that is what I believe is very important for generations to kind of make a step up on the rungs and try to spread that out across the next generation, whether it be their children or their nieces, their nephews, or their nieces and nephews' friends. But I believe in that. And so I'm forever grateful. And I think he's highly responsible for showing me how to be a business person, a community business person, especially.
Man, I love the way you come at the explanation of how important that mentorship is, you know. And then the brother, as you explained, he really just, and a lot of brothers, you know, do this nowadays, especially with our young men, is that when you pour into them, you require something of them to really make sure that that reciprocity takes place, right? And it's just not a handout. So I love how you just humbly gave them shout outs. So I hope your mentor is watching, bro.
Yeah.
But now, Brother Mandene, tell us who that influencer was, man, along the way to the opening the doors of the shop. Can you hear me, Brother Mandene?
Mute there,
You're
bro.
on mute. Unmute
How
yourself.
about now? Is that better?
We can hear you fine, bro.
Yes, sir. I have to say Mandene Muhammad, who's the co-founder, one of the co-founders of the organization CROW, the Coalition for the Remembrance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He was he wasn't even, before he was even a Muslim follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he was a insurance producer. And he used to sell suits and women's dresses out of the trunk of his car.
Wow.
So, you know, I never really thought about going, you know, into that particular field, you know, at that time. I became a member of CROW when I was 17 years of age because I was interested in the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So I stumbled upon this organization. And, you know, it was 3 co-founders, but this brother in particular was kind of like the spokesperson, kind of took me. And it wasn't just me. He was the type of person, he always would say that, you know, one, I'm trying to save you some time by not going down that route. You know, and the other thing, he was always looking for replacements. In other words, you know, whoever would latch on, that's who he would take under his wing, would always give out, you know, advice, whether you ask for it or not, you know, and always try to lead you in the right direction. But just being observant and, you know, just kind of being laid back and shy, even to my detriment at sometimes, but just observing of him, this man was a top-notch salesperson, you know, because, you know, only he would always say, if you can sell a piece of paper, you can sell anything. And he was saying that in reference to him being an insurance producer. But then again, he would always sell clothes. And, you know, even as part of our organization, we have a membership. And I never forget, it was a young lady, and he always had the gift of gab. And, you know, he talked to this young woman, talked to her for about maybe 5 minutes, and she got a membership. And she worked at a beauty shop across the street from the organization. She came back a couple of minutes later, and Munir had, you know, already moved on to the next thing. He was gone out of sight. And she just kind of came up to me and asked, you know, what did I just get a membership for? And I just like, this is over 20 years ago. So I'm like, man, this is something right here. But still, going with him to the clothing shows and things of that sort. But I never thought about having my own spot or anything. Like I said, it wasn't until later on that, I guess those seeds were slowly being dropped. I mean, I like to, like most brothers I know, I like to dress. I like clothes. I always jokingly call myself a poor shopaholic. A lot of things that I started my store with were things that I had that I never wore that had tags on them and whatnot. And I knew I had a problem with shopping. I had purchased a pair of blue shoes for one suit, not thinking that, hey, you could probably wear this with something else. I just got these shoes for this one particular suit. And I knew then that I had a problem with shopping. I need to slow down. So, and as I said earlier, after a friend had suggested opening up this a men's resale boutique, I had mentioned it to Brother Manir, and he would jokingly say at times, I think he would be serious too. I sell out the trunk of my car, so I don't have no overhead, so, but I was like, I'm on a different sort of mission, I'm trying to help out those that's less fortunate also. But he was, he was happy that I went this route. He didn't like that I had to pay rent. He felt that I should have the place for free. That's the way he operated. Well, he was 5 foot 5 and 5 foot inches and a half, but he had a commanding presence. He always say, act like you belong. When you walk into someplace, act like you belong. It's I guess it's like a sound off of faking it until you make it. But whether he was faking it or not, he felt like he belonged whatever room he was in, and he could sell you whatever he had. So just looking at him and how he operated, and anytime that you can, he would also call himself a defense attorney for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and just seeing him operate. We have a television show also that we have, and just seeing him, who was not, a journalist, a trained journalist. He never went to school for that. He just had the gifts of communication. He had the confidence, and he had the teaching, and so he operated in that arena. And so, and to see the different people that will come on the show, from Minister Farrakhan, Jesse Jackson, the brother that's a lawyer, I'm sure he's familiar with James Montgomery and Johnny Cochran, and just these giants, and not only those people, but to the different mayors of the city of Chicago, and to be able to interview the heads of the FBI and the Secret Service, just to be in these different circles, these people coming through our studio, and then for him to even to come up with the idea of having our own studio, because you brothers from Chicago, so you're familiar with cable access. We started off at cable access, but he was like, we need our own place. We don't want to have somebody with being able to tell us to to get out when it's time to get out, and that's always been his mindset of ownership. And so we got our own place as far as the studio, and to be able to see these people come in, and to sit down, and even at the time, the state senator, Barack Obama, who later on became the president, just reflecting on all these different people, and the list goes on. We've been doing this shows for over 20 years. So all of this is just bricks or just, seeds being dropped to me, showing me that I could do whatever it is I put my mind to. And so venturing off and becoming a small business owner, unfortunately, Brother Manir made his transition last year, and it was a shock to us all, but, it was lessons in everything that he did. It wasn't a storybook ending, you like in the movies, you get some last instructions and things of that sort. It just happened. But, I just reflect back on all the times, all the advice that he gave me, all the car rides, even when he cursed me out, it was a lesson in there, because it was never personal. It was always to make you better. He would always say about his own children, he wanted his sons to be better than he is. And he treated me like a son, and he always wanted me to be better than him. And so just coupling that with the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and just even to the name of the store, Legacy, just wanted to leave a legacy, not only for me, but for those young men that's coming in, because we can say what we want, but when we see somebody, we judge them depending on how they look. So my job at this, when they come in, is to at least give them that look, like, hey, that's somebody. Even if they're casual, they're gonna be set apart from everybody else. And so may have went a long ways to answer that, but Mandene Muhammad was definitely that influence, that mentor, that person that, whether it's finance, whatever, he was that father figure, that mentor for me that I could actually touch, and definitely he's missed, but I definitely carried those teachings, those lessons that he laid on me with me, and I'll carry them, until my time is done.
Brother Mandene, that you dropped a whole lot of gems there, and truly appreciate it. A couple things I want to touch on.
Yes, sir.
First of all, that you had a true mentor. All of you guys have, and again, not to belabor it, but that's really what Black Man Lab is about, right?
Yep.
We're trying to
Yep.
be in a position that we can, maybe some young fella latches on to one of you guys because they hear your voice, or to any of the other people that we've had involved with Black Man Lab, so that they can get a step up. In other communities, and I'll be specific, in white communities, these kind of things generally happen in family, right? You have a father, maybe even a mother, but parents that own a business, and that son, that daughter, they're automatically, getting indoctrinated into it, and their friends are. Then on top of that, what they're getting is, the ability to learn a business and then take it off on their own if they want to, or just actually do the business. Typically, we don't have that in our communities enough. So that's kind of what Black Man Lab is about. We want to be able to be that for people. The other thing, Brother Mandene, that you mentioned there that I think is important, and we want to touch on real quick here because we're up against the clock already, man.
Already,
time goes
man.
fast.
It's crazy, bro.
What we want to touch on is what you mentioned about the selling, right? And the importance of it for your business, right? And then what I mean by that is getting your business out to the public, getting it out, so that people know who you are and what you do and want to utilize your services. So a lot of times it's word of mouth, but a lot of times it is also, and I'm a salesperson, so I don't really like this term. I know a lot of people have said it tonight, but the gift of gab, but it's really not that. It's your ability to listen and take in information and then find out how you can utilize what you heard so that person wants to utilize your services. So real quick, I want you guys to touch on that a little bit. Just how do you get your product, your business to market, and what that looks like? Because our young folks really need to have an understanding of that. Because there's a lot of people that start a business, but then they have failure within that because they don't understand how to get that marketed and or to the public. So, Brother Marsette, I'll start with you real quick. Just touch on some gems that you can think of to getting your business out there, to getting started and getting people to utilize your products.
You're on mute, Brother
Okay,
Marsette.
there you go.
Yeah, you good.
Oh, it's freezing up there.
Yeah.
Said we'll come back to you, man. Brother Travis, how about you?
Okay, yeah, it was cutting up a little bit. So I want to make sure I can hear you. I think that is, for me, one of the aspects of it, because you truly, like I tell people, you have to know who your customer is doing right now in terms of your business. You were to close your eyes and describe who your customer is, or who your customer base. What can you do that? So a lot of times we mess up in that simple step of the game by not truly knowing who our customer base is. So if clearly, like if you're marketing your services, okay, if you're marketing your legal services to, you guys hear me? Or is it breaking up?
Yeah, you got real bad reception set. It's making a lot of
All right,
noise.
for whatever reason, it seems that the connection is breaking.
Yeah.
All right. Let me see.
Hold tight. We'll come back to you. Hold that thought, and we'll come back to you. Okay.
Okay.
Brother Travis, how about you?
So one of the things that I try to do and communicate when I'm giving advice about marketing your business is you actually have to know what your business is and your solution is, and really just think about it in everyday conversation. You're marketing. And for example, I like this conversation to end with everybody who viewed to know that, look, I am a practicing attorney who specializes in transactions. I negotiate contracts, I draw them up, I get on the phone, I talk big on your behalf, and I help you move money, do deals, right? And so in opportunities where there's an audience, let people know who you are, how long you've been doing it. And then there's the basics. You have to be on social media nowadays. It used to be that you could kind of go to network events and shake hands, pass a business card. COVID has actually heightened the need to get on social media, but it was already there. But one of the positives, if there are some from the pandemic, is that it really has accelerated things that people should have been doing. You have to have a footprint out in space, on the internet, and you have to be able to shake hands and introduce yourself and pass your business card. That you can use your QR code on LinkedIn, or say hello in a DM, in Instagram, and you have to do those things, and you have to have newsletters and all of that. But in the end, it's still the same thing that always sold. You have to be able to tell people, know what you do best, how you do it better, and how it's going to help solve their problems. A lot of times I think when I started out, I was younger, I used to try to say, hey, look, this is what I do, and you need to hire me because I only cost this much, and et cetera. And I was talking about the product or the service and how much it costs. And really, it's about solving problems. I don't care what you're selling. People only buy things that solve some need or problem. And I try to listen to what people are going through, where they're trying to go, what goals they're trying to achieve. And then I speak to them and see if I can find a solution, and I have that within me. And if I don't, I try to stay within an ecosystem as a resource by passing on or recommending some other business owner, some other technician or expert or subject matter expert who can actually solve the problem that I can't, so that I'm still useful to this person. I'm a person they'll remember. I can be a connector. And then that way, look, they're benefiting. I might not benefit today, but my other connection is benefiting from a new client or a new purchaser of their product. And that way we're all moving forward. It comes around. It all comes around. Right now, I know that I know some people that are looking for branding items, and I know Marsette is the person to get them. And I know I have people in Chicago right now, and I know that they are looking for ways to maybe buy clothes and give clothes. And so I know to go to Mandene about it. And so listening to what people do and what value they add, and then trying to pass that along as much as I can, it always brings energy back. People remember me when they do find somebody who needs a business lawyer. I'm one of the people top of mind.
And that's a great point, Brother Travis, is that the biggest key that we can have in doing business, in selling our business, your ability to listen, right? So often people get misconstrued with the thought that it's how much you can deliver your information, right? About what your product is and what it can do, no matter what it is, whether it's a service or whether it's a hard product. People are always thinking as though it's how much I can talk about my product. That's not it. The answer of it is how much can I make that product fit a need that's out there. And the only way you know about the need is if you're listening to people in the right way, right? And so what you touched on there is perfect and a true design on how to be successful getting a business started. Brother Mandene, how about you? You're on mute, brother.
Apologies. Oh, yes, sir. What I was saying was for me, stepping out of my comfort zone. Again, I was so used to being in that background, but now I have to be the front man. I have to be that person and doing like what we're doing now, building with other brothers, who are not necessarily in the same field, but we're all connected, so food, clothing, and shelter, we all need those three things. And we definitely need somebody that's going to I'm sorry, I get a customer that's going to represent us in that way. Hold on one. Hold on one second.
Take care of your customer.
Hold on 1 second. So I'm on the phone right now. Hey, I'm sorry, my brother. So what I was saying was that's the gift and the curse. So I'm honored to have a customer in, but I didn't mean to interrupt like that. So what we have to do is to like somebody had stated, social media is important. You know, you have to. That's free advertising. You have to get out there and talk to the people. I think the brother had mentioned, Travis had mentioned about selling the need. I think I'm paraphrasing, but you know, even when it comes to clothes, it's not just trying to sell somebody something just to be selling them. You want to make sure they get what they're looking for. You know, because number one, they're going to go out there and they're representing the store. So I don't want them looking any kind of way. I want to make sure they get something that they're looking for. They're comfortable with what they have on, and they're really happy with what they have. So, you know, I think it's very important that as you had stated, we have to listen. We have to listen to what, because they're all the customers, you know, no matter what field that they're in. And we have to listen to what they want and be able to satisfy that need to the best of our ability.
I love it.
Awesome. That's awesome. That's exactly it. And you from what you're doing, it really is essential, because if you're able to get somebody to transition their look, if you will, to one that's really sharp and nice, guess what? Now you have that referral business, right? People are coming back, and not only that, they're sending people back as well. I mean, with that, I'll move over to Marsette, because that I know for sure that's you, Marsette, in terms of how your business is working.
Okay, yeah. We try it again. Hopefully, you guys can hear me a little bit better now, or
A little bit. You still got a little choppiness in there, but let's work through it.
all right. Is this better? I'm trying to see what's going on with my
Might be your mic.
What I was saying was being able to understand what
He's frozen.
Yeah, he froze up again on us, Marsette.
try with a different mic, but I'll say real quickly that just knowing who your customer is definitely will save you an abundance of time and resources, you know, financial or, you know, in terms of intangibles. You have to kind of know who your customer base is and where is it they go? How do I best reach them? How do I best service their need and not, you know, try to put a square peg in a round hole? We made a decision early on. Like, I know a lot of people, and there are some people who do shirts at a lower price point than I do. And I just made a decision that I wanted to do quality work. And there's plenty of people out there in the $10 hour realm, and I didn't want to do that only because my customer base are people about my age within 10 to 15 years either way, you know, either 40 to 65, 70, who, you know, gainfully employed, been working for a while, or entrepreneurs on their own, and don't mind paying for something that's not going to tighten up on them or tear up and wash. So once we made that decision, that's the way we put our resources. We didn't waste time in marketing to different that weren't there, because a lot of times they don't get, well, I saw this one shirt that looked like yours for $5, so why are you charging this for yours? So explanations, putting myself right in front of my customers, and like the other brother said, just relentlessly networking. Or if I come across somebody, put them in touch with someone else who I know. Hey, well, I know someone who is, which is an excellent point. I definitely have to get your information, because all of us need someone who are, you know, in contract law, or contracts, or buying and selling of businesses. So just continuing to put yourself in the way of other like-minded people who are doing the same thing. So those are one of the two of the most important things I can tell people, and not be afraid to shift if you got it wrong. You know, don't just keep it because of your ego or something. You know, just cut it. You know, cut it loose and then try another strategy if everything works.
Good stuff, man. You were going in and out a little bit, but your fine points I definitely got. And the main one being knowing your customer base. That's a big piece for our listening audience, right? There's a real formula as it relates to building your business, selling and business development, and it goes simply knowing your customer base, which is prospecting your business, qualifying your business, which is asking those questions so that you can find their need, being able to show your product, which is demonstrating whatever your product is, then proposing it, meaning putting some numbers in front of people, and then closing it and then following up. That follow-up piece is the piece that's going to keep you in business, right? Because especially if you don't have some sort of visibility where people see your product every day, it's important for you to follow up, because guess what? You're the product, right? And when people see you, especially like Brother Travis, I'm sure you go through this as a lawyer. People they don't see a product per se that you put out. They see your services. You do some services, right? And the only way services are really seen is if you are heard. So when you do that follow up with people and touch base with them, now you're that product, and they say, oh, Brother Travis is great at what he does. And then what happens? They refer you more business, right? So, man, listen, we have had an incredible conversation, guys, and we're already almost out of time. One of the things that we do each week that we always want to end stuff with is further nuggets that we can give our young folks out there. And one of those is talk about habits, rituals, and disciplines that we do on a daily basis. Things that you do, every day that keep you centered, keep you moving every day. So if you guys can give us real quick what your habits, rituals, and disciplines are that you do every day, we'd love to hear that from you really quick, and then we're going to wrap up. Brother Seth, let me start with you. Maybe we can get you in real quick with your reception, your habits, rituals, and disciplines.
One of the things in terms of habits, always be ready. Because a lot of times in business, we run out the house, I'm just going to get some gas or get some milk, and you run into somebody who could definitely use your business or service, and we don't have a business card, or we don't have our phone. Hey, this is my website, my social media presence. So always have these tools with you. Always be ready.
Lost you again. We lost you again, Seth.
Okay, it's free a little bit.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Real quick, I see everybody clearly on my end, and it's clear, but I guess my outgoing is chopping up for whatever reason. Yeah. But what I'm saying was, and always be ready.
Got you. Appreciate you, bro. Brother Travis, how about you? Your habits, rituals, and disciplines you do every day.
Yeah. So a habit is very akin to what Marsette mentioned. I really believe in the principle of, staying ready so you don't have to get ready. And I implement that by saying, okay, I have a large to-do list, but every now and then I find myself with now a specific call or a specific meeting or a specific deadline, and I have some free time. And there are things that I know I'll have to do, or even if it's like cleaning out my trunk, I never let my trunk get full. I always take anything out of it. If I went to the store, I take it out, I put it where it's supposed to go. I move things out of the way. If they're in the hallway, I like to move things. I like files. I might not need a file right now, but I like to put it where it's handy when I do need it. Because what I realize is that there are times that the only way you can capitalize on the best opportunity is to be ready immediately in the moment. And you need things at your fingertips, and you need to know where things are. You need space. I use the car as an example, but it's really a way of life. You can't take home gifts that you might receive impromptu while you're out and about town if you got a trunk full of stuff in it, right? Because you already full. And I would love to take that home, but I got no room to put it in my car. And so I always try to take and clean out things and make space to receive opportunity that might come. And so that's sort of a habit. And the ritual is like, I like to try to get something accomplished. And this is not original. I stole this from the military. I make my bed every day. I tell my son, make his bed every day. We work together. Organize your toys. I organize my night table, my nightstand. I organize myself every morning so that I have done something and put something in order and achieved something before I even got moving. Folks get halfway through their day and they feel like they never did anything or got anything done, but I always know I'm coming home to a flat, creased bed that's comfortable, nice and neat and organized, and that always keeps me focused, and it keeps me from falling into a space where I feel like I'm not productive, and that feeling of being productive leads to productivity. And so I believe in trying to figure out something that you can accomplish that's low-hanging fruit as soon as you open your eyes. So that and staying ready and having room to receive opportunity at all times.
Blessings. I love it.
I love that one. That's great. That's great.
Stay ready.
Yeah, staying ready so you don't got to get ready. I love that one. Brother Mandene, how about your habits, rituals, and disciplines? You're on mute, brother.
Forgive me, brother. The customer literally just walked out. What was the question again? I apologize, sir.
No problem. We're just asking your habits, rituals, and disciplines that you do on a daily basis. Just kind of keep you moving in the right direction every day.
Well, I pay attention to my contemporaries, and I try to make sure I stay in contact with them as far as what they're doing, and I always seek advice because I'm still a baby in this. Rituals. I mean, I try to stay abreast of what's going on, within the news and the retail. I watch even to watching the weather, because that dictates if it looks like it's going to be a bad day weather-wise. A lot of men, we're not leaving the house. And once we get in the house anyway, we pretty much staying in. So if it looks like it's going to be a good day, then that's great. I mean, I try to keep abreast of everything that's going on, whether it's because just with the gentleman that just walked out, he was talking about things that's going on in the world. Not only am I trying to address them, but we end up chopping it up also about things that's going on in the world, politics, business, whatever, so it's kind of like when you go to the barber shop, your barber becomes your counselor. So, I'm not only dressing them, but I'm becoming the counselor as well. I used to have a bad habit of being late all the time. So now I try to get there, at least 20 minutes early, so no matter where I'm going, because even though the customer was in there, I did hear somebody say, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So I try my best to stay ready as much as possible, in this industry. Bit of advice that was given to me, I think that applies to everybody. Remember, rent is due every day. So I never get complacent. If I have today was a pretty good day sales-wise, tomorrow somebody may come in and buy a pair of $1 socks, and that's not good when your rent is going up. So I try to stay hungry, if it's been a good week or a good month, rent is due every day. As soon as I pay that rent, I know rent is coming up very shortly. So I try to stay hungry. I try to stay focused. But, I enjoy what I do because I come in contact. I'm in the people business. I was in the people business with my organization, Crow, but I'm in the people business more so now because I'm selling to people. So I'm a salesman. I know I have to represent, even when I'm not in here, I'm representing, my organization. I'm representing my business. So I have to look the part, I have to be able to talk about what I'm doing. And so I'm always trying to constantly sharpen my sword as far as what I'm doing, whether it's my organization or my operation here at Legacy Men's Boutique. And, and just learning to be involved and to stepping out of my comfort zone and being involved in circles like this with positive brothers that are doing something. I'm picking up nuggets of wisdom from each and every one of you, this evening. And I'm just very appreciative to you all and to the brother Vince Bass for even thinking about me for coming on this program this evening. And I just hope it's something that I may have said that may have inspired some young person out there. And just, because if anybody is shy and laid back to a detriment, it was me. But even at 47, I'm still growing. I'm still coming out of my shell. And I still realize that as long as you live, you're going to keep learning. You know, you don't learn, then you become stagnant. You know, that apple can look real good on the outside, but if you cut it open, sometimes it can be a little rotten. So it always has to be room for growth and development.
Absolutely.
We love it, brothers. We love it, man. I want to thank you all on behalf of all of our listeners who I'm sure would like to do the same, man, for coming on, being transparent and open with the community about your strengths and weaknesses, bro, Mandene. You know, one of the qualities that we encourage every brother who ever comes into Black Man Lab is be authentically you, man. So we want to thank you all for being that tonight. And so as we wrap up, Brother Marty, you know how we do in this place, in this house. We do a ritual that was passed to us by Sister Njeri Algani from in Cobra, which was the reparations organization, national reparations organization. And she was the president of our Atlanta chapter, where actually Miley Davis and I met, Marty, about 23 years ago. With Sister Njeri. And so she gave us this, man, that we have adopted and made it part of our house. And so how we do virtually is we just kind of lift our arms and do a virtual linking of arms if we were in each other's presence. And so please, to the listeners who are regulars, you know what time this is, and those who are new, repeat after me. And so we begin by saying, I'm a link in this chain and it won't break here.
I'm a link in this
chain,
and it won't break
here.
And then we say again, I'm a link in this chain and it won't break here.
I'm a link in this chain and it won't break here.
And we affirm that commitment to one another, brothers, beginning with our family, then extending into our community and into our city and across the nation. And so then we remind the brothers that because we are, I am, then we say, finally, we are links in this chain and it won't break here.
We are links in
this chain and it won't break here.
So with that being said, brothers, we say, as we do with all things, we affirm it by saying Ashe.
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 Brothers, thank you again. Appreciate you so much. And I will text you all, just as I do everybody that comes on the Black Man Lab here as we do this virtually. We know that this is just a temporary space that we are in. We do plan when this COVID crisis is over to be back in the same space together, but we are able to wrap arms around one another as brothers. We are going to tax you all with that as well. When we get back together, live and in person, we're going to want you all, whether you are in Chicago, whether you are in Florida, whether you're wherever, we are going to tax you to come to Atlanta and be in the space so that you can feel the power of the Black Man Lab.
Yeah, brothers, always a seat for you in the lab.
Not only that, but share one-on-one with a lot of the brothers as well. So thank you again. And we look forward to moving forward and having you guys back on the show at some point. But thank you again. We truly appreciate all of your insight and sharing of your experiences.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brothers.